Welcome to this SVPod. I don't know where Red is. I think he's at like daycare or something. He's not lost. I just came down today and he was not around. So no Red. Stanford Steve's here. Red can't talk. He's very limited participation in the pod.
He's going to be pissed he missed the pod, though.
When he comes home, I'm going to say, you want to do a pod? And he goes, huh? And he'll run up the steps and I'll be like, nah, you missed it, dude. You're running around with all your pals. I have 2 cards, Steve.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know. I thought after the Super Bowl, how much is there to do? Went down a wormhole, took a left. Next thing you know, it's late. Philadelphia dominates. And I want everyone out there to understand something about your man, my man, everybody's man, Stanford Steve. It's 7-0 first quarter. I want to say it's the Chiefs' second or third possession. And it wasn't some gigantic disaster play for Kansas City. It wasn't the DeJean pick or anything. It was just like a sack or incompletion. And Stanford Steve said,
It's over.
I said, what now? He said, it's over. Another possession goes by the wayside for Kansas City, and that he became more emphatic. And I saw what you saw ahead of me. Like, yeah, they got no shot.
He couldn't block him.
Couldn't do anything.
With 4.
As impressive and dominating a performance as we've seen in a while, where we presumed it was good on good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking you to explain early to them. I think I get it, but just what is it you saw that told you, oh, this isn't close?
The most important thing was Kansas City wasn't on the same page offensively with protections against the 4-man. Guys laid off the line of scrimmage. You could see them trying to throw things at Kelsey and Pacheco in protection. Center not looking the right way, sliding to get double teams on D tackles and it not happening. But to me, what it was it wasn't the big name guys that were doing it for Philly. You saw the rotation going early, and by the time you get to Mahomes' pick to Cooper DeJean, he's saying, I'm going to try and do this myself.
We got sacked on second down. First down, sacked. Second down, sacked. Third down, trying to make a hero play because that was going to be required.
Mm-hmm. And you could just tell how fast Philly was playing. And again, I don't care what level of football you are playing. If you get pressured the quarterback with 4 and you have 7 on the back end, you're going to be all right. You're going to be fine. And even against the greatest player in the world, you could do that. I thought, you saw the insufficiencies of Kansas City, which were hidden in the last couple of weeks because they beat Buffalo, because they were impressive in playoff wins, was a guard going out to play tackle because that was their best option.
Yeah.
A young guy at right tackle that wasn't there. And guys from Philly just really upping the stakes and saying, you know what, we're going to give it here. We got plenty of guys. This is our strength. And I go back to Sweat. He was incredible, man. The way, the force he played, because he's a big guy. He's got long arms. You think he's going to try and move around you. He went right at Tooney a couple times. And they manhandled him. They absolutely manhandled him. And you knew over time with the weapons that the Eagles have that they were going to strike. And they did. And credit to him, man.
Sweat, as you mentioned, incredible. 2.5 sacks. I have no issue with Hurts winning the MVP. It's almost always going to be a quarterback, and he was excellent. But if a defensive player was going to win it, just watch what Sweat did.
Mm-hmm.
He took a grown man and an all-pro level lineman in Tooney and shoved him into Mahomes on the pick right before halftime where he shoves Tooney into Mahomes. Mahomes kind of ends up short-arming it because he gets hit, and Baum had the pick there, which 2 plays later is the A.J. Brown touchdown. And at that point it was over far earlier. Stanford Steve proclaimed it over first quarter.
I'm just glad I had a witness.
You said it.
I was just like, this thing's done, man.
And here's what you should know about Steve, and you do because you've been listening and you've seen him for years. He's not that guy. What Steve always says, and I agree, is when you're watching the game, put your phone down. Like
No.
the guy or gal that's live tweeting the Super Bowl, like we all have Fox. we're good. We're watching it in real time. I mean, you're going to fire off a zinger here or there. I understand, but you're analytically breaking down every moment as if it's necessary on Twitter. That's not what you do. And for anybody who, and I think of it from through the Maryland lens, that our fan base isn't the most reasonable or rational. I don't know one that is, but I'll go in after a game and I'll just read on like the chat board the game thread and the highs and lows of the game thread. People want everyone fired. They want scholarships revoked. They hate every player. Then you come back and win. It's like, yeah, they're great. And then you look at it through a lens of rational 2020 hindsight, and you go, all right, maybe I calm down a little bit. You're not the guy to overreact. You're not the guy in real time to say things like that. So you said it, and I'm like, I see what you're seeing, but I was prisoner of the same thing everyone was living with Kansas City, and that's that every single Super Bowl, Mahomes has been in 5. He's now trailed by double digits in every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're waiting to see, does he do what he's done in the past? But if you're going to live in that space, this is what I tried to say to Nick Wright the other day when he was on me. I just said, look, if you're going to keep having to live in that margin where somebody pulls a rabbit out of a hat, eventually you run out of rabbits. And Kansas City's been great. No one's saying they haven't been. But they were dominated yesterday by a team after the fact said, yeah, it got a little tiring hearing about how they're going to go get 3 in a row. We were one of them. And it was a penalty late. That's why they got one of them.
Oh, yeah. But on the other side, the reason I love the under. It's a joke that it didn't come in, but that's the Super Bowl. Shit's going to happen. But my question about the Eagles was their offensive line front with Juergens and Dickerson and how bad they looked the last time out against the Commanders. And
well, they were back in a knee.
Yeah, like I just didn't know what the status was. And, I'm doing Chris Long's live show Friday, and it's all Philly. I mean, he's got Bo Allen. He used to play for him. Chris obviously won a Super Bowl with him. Bo won a Super Bowl with him. And they're like, it's about the Eagles' defense. I'm like, I'm not worried about the Eagles' defense. That's why I love the under. I just worried if Philly's offensive line could protect, and you saw that right from the get. They weren't close to getting Hurts.
No, and it's wild because it's kind of what we talked about, that Spag's going to sell out to stop Saquon. He did.
Yeah.
But that O-line did a tremendous job keeping Hurts clean and giving him time to find guys. And then when he didn't have him, he took off. That was something that Mahomes kills people with those third down scrambles. He had nowhere to
get out of the pocket.
Ever. With 4.
Gap integrity.
That's what it's about. That's how I live my life, really. One fundamental is gap integrity. I start with that every day. I wake up and I say, Scott, what are we going to do? We're going to maintain gap integrity.
There you go.
The rest falls into place. Vic Fangio, 38 years in the game, gets his. It's him. It's personnel. It's, I think, the motivation of several years' worth of what they've been through as an organization. This close to winning. The wheels fall off last year at the end of the season. You bring in Saquon, which changes things. Go ahead. You had something on that?
I want that book.
Yeah, what happened?
I mean, we were there a bunch of times.
Yeah, we saw them.
And they just crumbled. They didn't win.
No, they sure didn't.
I thought about it last night when you had Brandon Graham on the show. I'm like, you can't ask that question right now.
Hey, what the fuck happened?
But it's all I'm thinking about because a lot of the pieces are the same.
Yeah.
I get it, Barkley. But to lose, what was it, six in a row at the end of the season?
Yeah, and it was the way they lost games. We were there in Seattle. It's Drew Lock leading them down the field, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, there were in retrospect, you're like, man, there was a lot that happened that is inexplicable.
And Kelsey's last game ends up being at Tampa, and we're there for that in the playoff game. And as unmotivated an effort as I've ever seen in a playoff game.
They look like people that just wanted to not have to see each other again for a while.
So weird.
And now it's largely the same group. And you think about seeing Statler, the offensive line coach, and
Connecticut legend.
And think about that O-line last night. I mean, they're 6'6", 338 on average from left tackle to right tackle. Cartoon mutants. And they were great. The D-line with 4 just feasted. Cooper DeJean's 22 years old. And
how's he feeling today?
I hope he has a hangover that could kill a horse. I really do. I don't know if he drinks. It doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
however you celebrate, I hope he's happy. He should be. He was awesome. And if you watched him play at Iowa, I think I said this on the air. Like, he was always a dude that if he got his hands on the ball, and they used him in the return game, when he touched it on a pick, he always seemed like he thought he was going to score. I said, when did you think you're going to score? He said, as soon as I touched it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge play in the game. They just beat the shit out of the Chiefs.
That's it.
Start, middle, and end. Demonstrably better by a mile. And I saw something this morning that Bill Simmons said with Cousin Sal on their, I guess it was late night reaction pod. And it's so true. Mahomes singularly broke people's ability to analyze football because you wouldn't analyze it through that lens. It would be, and Damian Woody, who I love, he's one of our favorite dudes, all-time great guy. I had him on this week. I said, all right, we talked a lot about Philly, so you picking Philly? He's like, man, you think I'm picking against Patrick Mahomes? And that's what it would come down to.
Yeah.
You would look at it football-wise, and you go, fundamentally, personnel, Philly seems better because they are. I don't know. I don't want to pick against Mahomes. I'm like, man, Philly's going to win the game. I said it here last Monday, and you're like, whoa, hot take. I think they're going to win the game. I was thinking it was Barkley related. It turned out not to be. They were just better. And there were all these little Easter eggs throughout the year. I went back and I look at it, and there's like the winning streak. Only game they lost, Hurts got hurt, and Daniels went crazy. That's the only loss they had the end of the year. Went to Baltimore, won a game with a big fourth quarter. Went to the Rams, dominant second half. They would wear teams down, and then Barkley would be the battering ram. There were in retrospect, it was, and it's easy now after they win like this to say, well, of course. I didn't see him dominating Kansas City, but Mahomes and Kansas City's run and the fact that they just never lose like this, it broke people's ability to just look at X and O and say, who's better? Well, Philly by a lot on Monday, the day after. By the way, anyone in the New Orleans airport, I'm with you.
Oh, is it bad? Is it already out?
I don't know. I just know that it's probably...
You're having flashbacks.
Yeah, people have like that booze stink where they just never went to bed.
Redone airport, though. A lot of credit. Very, very, very well, better designed, I will say that.
It was a poor airport.
Wasn't great.
For people flying back to Philly, that's the worst airport. Looks
Correct.
like a Starsky and Hutch episode. It's 76. Beretta is here with the bird. The younger people don't know, but that's a funny reference for the old heads. Just that in retrospect, you didn't have to squint to see it. And so then we do the big picture. Brady celebrating today. Brady gets to have a victory lap today. Like, that's what we're doing?
No, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. Well, Mahomes, let's slow down the talk. He's still a 9-year-old dude that's been in 5 Super Bowls and won 3. Probably not the last time he'll get there, I would guess.
But Brady never got blown out in a Super Bowl.
He didn't. So if he gets a victory lap, you know who gets a victory lap today? Joe Montana. Look it up. Played in 4, never lost, never threw an interception. That's the funny thing, and that's the wormhole I ended up in last night.
Ooh.
Well, it's about Super Bowls and how do you win them, because I said this on SportsCenter on Sunday night. We've been spoiled lately with close Super Bowls. There have been 3 in a row by 3 points. Really entertaining, compelling, dramatic football games. Mostly, this is now 59 of them, 26 of 59, not half, but approaching it, have been 2 touchdown or more blowouts. Just like last night, non-competitive blowout games. Close games have been rarer. Montana won a couple of close ones. Cincinnati, the famous touchdown drive down the field late to beat them. And they beat them in the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan in a 5-point game. But then the other 2 are absolute debacles.
Oh.
You know how many blowouts Brady won in the Super Bowl? None. Never kicked anybody's ass. The only 2-score game was against the Rams. And by the way, people that are like, is this the worst Super Bowl ever? How do people have so little frame of reference? What is everyone, 3? How are you tweeting so efficiently when you're 3 years old? How do you not remember more than 5 minutes ago what happened? This was a blowout. This is what the Super Bowls have been, a lot. The New England LA Ram game was horrible.
It's the only one I ever went to.
Tell me it was.
I was cringing.
14-3. No,
it was awful.
Thank you.
Awful.
Boring and terrible.
And it was a close game.
But still boring and terrible. That's the biggest win Brady had in the Super Bowl. Go back and look at him. One of my cards, Steve. Beat the Rams by 3. Big underdogs. That was a huge upset. Beat Carolina by 3. Beat Philly by 3. Kind of fake close.
Yeah.
Philly scored late. Fake close. They beat Seattle because the Seahawks decided to throw the ball on the 1-yard line and not give it to Marshawn Lynch. They beat Atlanta because Atlanta couldn't get a first down for 3 quarters, leading 28-3. That's a win. They're down 28-3. All credit for coming back. But think of how many things Atlanta had to do to conspire in their own demise after Seattle throws it on the 1-yard line. Lost twice to the Giants. Lost to Philly. Beat the Rams 13-3. Brady did have a blowout win with Tampa over Kansas City, which is one of the times Mahomes got beat by a lot.
No fans.
The point I'm making is that in terms of being a dominating juggernaut team, and maybe Brady gets more credit for winning the close games because you've got to rely on his ability to win close games. But I just want to make mention of a guy named Joe Montana, who, again, I realize our younger folks don't know. He's pretty good.
Oh.
4-0. 0 picks. A couple of blowout wins. He was pretty nasty. Mahomes has now lost 2 times on the wrong end of big scores. Okay. Still been to 5. I don't know what he was supposed to do yesterday, and it's proof of that adage that if you can get to a quarterback, I don't care who it is, you got no shot. He had no shot yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
None. But to do this comparative, the Brady narrative, the Mahomes narrative, I don't know why it's so necessary to do this the day after. It just seems like what the default thing people tend to do. And I don't know if it's people in our business or social media. What?
It's a disease we have that we just can't talk about what we just watched. It drives me nuts with our show staff when we follow a game. It's like we got to get to what's next year's odds. No one's betting right now. We just had a Super Bowl crown awarded. Talk about it. It's what we do. We're a post-game show.
And we did.
You know?
And we did.
Yeah.
That's our favorite thing to do is to just let's
soak it in.
Exactly. Let's analyze this. Let's give all the credit to every element of Philadelphia that deserves it.
Because not one Chiefs person is watching our show because they're turning the TV off.
Yeah.
On all Eagles people want to do is hear us or our analysts talk about them winning the Super Bowl. That's a fact. Right?
Yeah, you realize what you are. I mean, you're there for the people that are still reveling, which is why it was fun off the top to do a little tip of the cap to Philadelphia people.
Yeah. I will say this about Brady. I don't want to make this whole thing about him. I love that he disagreed with the calls early on in the game. He said it. He was firm in that, and I'm sure you saw the clip with him with Cowherd this week talking about what he did in prepping for the Super Bowl
and how he knew everything before it happened.
That's what I don't think people understand, or even the players understand now. And I've done a lot of thinking about this, and like I could see that with Brady, and that's why he was so hard to doubt, because you knew he was maniacal in his preparation. Belichick, maniacal in his preparation. I wonder about this next generation if they will take that step. You talk to Troy Aikman this whole offseason, who's his favorite player he talked to in production meetings, Jaden Daniels. Why? Because he sees and he knows football and he loves it and he wants to be better. And for one of the greatest of all time to just single out one guy, I wonder, and we see the position just go fail. It's the ugly stuff. It's the stuff that you got to do when no one's watching that are going to get you better. And then for here to Brady, because it's exactly how I felt when Brady was playing the Chiefs. I'm like, there's no way he's losing that game. Mahomes didn't have either tackle. He's going to pick this team apart, and he did because he knew it was his last stand. And he also was great in talking about how much the losses stick with you. And for him to lose to the Giants twice, and then Philly, like those are two rough fan bases to lose to. And he talks about it going to Knicks games and Spike Lee catching a ball on top of his head like David Tyree, and Philly, Philly special, and the meme of him dropping the pass. I thought it was awesome, and it finally gave some insight to him. When he's changes his ways about going about things as far as social media, when he got to the Buccaneers, it's like, all right, we get it, Tom. You're like 10 years behind here on what people do on social media. And then for him to open up and talk about that with Colin, I thought was really, really good.
I just found myself going back and remembering how did people create the mythology, the legend of themselves, and how narrow the margins are, and the difference for a guy in Brady who absolutely has earned his place. I always say among the greats. I mean, he's won more than anyone. I do think Montana deserves to be mentioned in that same category simply because he never lost a game in a Super Bowl. I mean, you get to 9, you're going to lose some. Mahomes loses some too. But looking at the way Mahomes won, trailed by double digits in every single one of them. I think about the 21-0 fourth quarter to beat San Francisco, and you hit Tyreek Hill on kind of a busted play, and it changes the entire game. Well, he deserves the credit for that. Mm-hmm. That's lighting the fuse that leads to what happened. And the touchdown against Philly, and Eagle fans, let's just enjoy and not be like, that was a really bad call on Bradbury. That was bullshit. That was really bad. That was an asshole call. Bradbury himself, and I quote, I tugged his jersey. I was hoping they would let it slide. That's the man it was a penalty. It was a back-and-forth game. Jalen puts it on the ground. It's a fumble that goes the other way, scoop and score, changes the entire game. That's how they won that one. San Francisco last year, I thought San Francisco was going to win that game. They didn't. The overtime.
I thought they were going to beat them both times.
Oh, they should have. I don't know if that's. They certainly could have. But those are his 3. Those are Mahomes' 3. Mm-hmm. And so if the day after they lose by this, you then say, well, they trail by this in every game. His ability to win games that others lose statistically, and this is a fact, not an opinion, he's the best that's ever done it. That's proven fact. No quarterback has a over 500 record when they trail by double digits except one guy, Patrick Mahomes. So day after, if we've broken you can't pick against Kansas City because of that guy. Well, I imagine he's still going to lead them to plenty of wins. And Philly now has given us the blueprint. I love when people say that. Sure, they give you the blueprint. If Vic Fangio is your DC, you have monsters on every level of your defense. You have the best running back statistically ever in the history of the game running the football, yards in regular season plus playoffs. An O-line that's 6'6", 338. With a couple of star wide receivers. Sure, that's the blueprint. You got all that? Then sure, it should be easy to go do it. Well, there's one team that had that. It was Philadelphia. And that's why last night I said, and look, I live in the same division as a Washington fan who suddenly has dusted off the old fandom, get a little excited about things. That does not look like a team that's going anywhere. Yeah, you're going to lose your OC. Okay. But personnel-wise, that's a team that you'd think we'll hear from again soon.
Couple things. Vic Fangio, huge shout out. I couldn't be happier for the guy. I'll never forget Harbaugh hires him as the DC at Stanford when he got the job. And I'm on a text room. I'm like, who the fuck is Vic Fangio? And then literally 3 games into the season, I'm like, this Fangio guy knows what the hell he's doing. Because just one quick one. Richard Sherman was a wide receiver at Stanford.
Okay.
And got moved over to defense. He becomes an all-pro defensive player, and his college DC is Vic Fangio. A lot to do there. On the quarterbacks, Mahomes did it right last night. and the post game. I went home and I wanted to watch because on my flight down to the Super Bowl, I went back and watched Jalen Hurts. I remember it, the press conference after he lost.
You lose or you learn?
Yep. And that's 11 minutes of him just taking it. Still with the eye black on, the whole thing, and you could see he's crushed. But he stood there and he took it. Mahomes, you're not going to hear this or see it all day. Just go look it up. It's really, really impressive. 13 minutes, took every single question, owned the blame, and
I think he shouldered it unnecessarily, acted like it's his fault. He played a role. He was not great.
No.
You're allowed to have
But
I said this last night. It's like Tiger Woods. When Tiger didn't shoot 68, you're like, man, what happened? Well, golf's hard, dude.
yeah. Well, I thought Tim did a good point of illustrating too. Like he took it upon himself and made unforced errors. He forced things and they burned him big time because if you go back, like you said, Kansas City's defense is all right. But when you get a pick six, and then you throw another pick on the 6-yard line, 11-yard line.
Right. Well,
you can't keep asking your defense to do that.
Oh no, when your left tackle gets shoved into your butt cheek and your left leg, and that's part of it. Again, I'm not saying Mahomes was great. He was horrible. He had the worst game I've ever seen him have.
Still hit all the overs on his props. It's unbelievable.
A couple of late little window dressing touchdowns to make it not quite as bad as it was, and also ruin all teasers for those that took the dog and the low. Sorry. You get 6 points. You can't lose.
The under was. I can't believe it.
You see some bozo bet like Harrison Butker bet $2,000 to win $50 or something to make an extra point. Was that the bet?
2,200
to win how much?
100.
What's wrong with people?
Suck it. How about that? It's your stupid bet. Good job.
It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? 2,200 to win 100. Okay.
How'd that go?
Minus 2,200. Salute to Mahomes for owning it.
Yes.
I'm just saying that there was blame to go around. But as the leader, as the guy, he's like, I'm right here to absorb all of this. I say Philly will be back. I went down another wormhole last night.
How did you go to bed?
It was late.
Me too.
When my brain's on and I'm interested in things, I operate real well. That time of night, I'm a night owl. Shout out to Marion Barry, former mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm a night owl. Those that know.
I just
Marion was a bit of a loose cannon. We'll just say it that way. Look it up. Philadelphia's schedule next year, and there's nothing dumber than this in talk radio or podcasts or TV or anything, where you go through the schedule and start going, well, this looks like a win. But I want you to listen to their road games for the Eagles next year. They go to Buffalo. They go to Kansas City. Those are the two teams that met in the AFC Championship game.
How?
By rule,
just went there last year.
By rule, they have to play Washington on the road because they're in the NFC East. So that's the NFC Championship team that they met. They also go to the Chargers, to Green Bay, to Tampa Bay, and to Minnesota. All playoff teams. Now, a quarterback could get hurt. Things change. Some teams that we think are going to be good are going to stink. But those are your road games. You also have the Rams and Detroit visiting Philadelphia to the Link. And it's a schedule that's rather robust. That's all I'm saying. Thursday, NBC season opener.
Eagles, Cowboys.
You're saying that and not Jaden Daniels going in there?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Detroit?
No big game should be played in the first month.
So you're saying Detroit, Philadelphia is not a big game? Excuse me, Dallas to Philadelphia is not a big game. Dude, Shotty, buckle up.
Use your cowboy windows early. About that?
Ooh, that's smart.
How about that concept?
We had some November trips to Dallas.
That was good.
Yeah, was it?
The resort was nice.
That's a pretty rugged schedule. That's all I'm saying. Pretty rugged. Sirianni has maintained his. I think he hasn't changed. I think he's just who he is. The people that hated him, now they just have to wear it.
It's funny. Again, being with Chris and all the Eagles guys for a majority of the weekend, I just kept asking. I'm like, You love him.
And they
Talking
do.
about Sirianni.
And they do.
And they're like, you would too if you met him.
That's what Kelsey
that's
told
all
me.
you got to tell me.
100%.
That's it.
I trust Jason 1,000%. I'm like, help me out here. I'm like, no, great, and great in the room.
Yeah.
With the people, and that's all that matters. Because I'd be the first to tell you what I think, what any of us think, means nothing. If the guys in the room that play for him love him, that's it, and they do. And and you know how it would be. And would I tell you they hate him if I heard they did? You'd figure out a way to say it without saying it.
No,
but not even no inkling of anything other than this guy's great.
Because my point was like I just can't stand how he handled certain things. And they're like, oh yeah, he's like he'll tell you the first. He goes back. He talks about his press conference all the time.
That first one,
how he's never going to get over it. And I'm like, okay. And then, and it's funny. They kept bringing it up. They were like, you know what he's going to remember if they win? Him walking out of Arrowhead when we were there.
Oh, and he talked all that smack to him? Yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, he's a different cat for sure. You can't argue with his road and how he's come up. And, I mean, this guy's in the Super Bowl crying the national anthem a couple years ago.
Yep.
Loses both coordinators. Has to, after that game, gets rid of last year's coordinators, brings in 2 more, and wins a Super Bowl. So, like I said, plenty of things to say in the past, but you can't argue with what he did. He faced it, he made changes, and he got his team ready to play. And another question I had for Chris and those guys all week is I was like, because I asked him, I said, like, because we were talking about the Eagles' offensive line injuries, and I'm like, how do you feel good about Super Bowl prep? I said, you have a week of practice at home. When you come here, it's media day, opening night. You have all walkthroughs. How, as a coaching staff, can you feel good that you're going to be able to execute when all you're doing is basically walkthroughs?
Yeah, and then the game, as everyone explains, there's no rhythm to it. It's the hardest game you play because you get
worst.
Because you get so much energy and so amped, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm not even close to a coin flip or a kickoff or actually out there in a series.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn how to do that. But to go back to you lose, you win or you learn. And Jalen Hurts, that's the guy for me. There's a picture of him sitting there with a cigar in Lombardi. Everybody, if you've been on social media, you've seen it. And I realized after a while it wasn't a photo because I thought I was looking at a photograph. I realized I'm looking at video, and he's not moving. And I finally realized, there's like some smoke, and it's just a man that is clearly relishing this moment. And he was asked last night about it, and there was a pause, and there was a little smile, and a slight shake of the head, and like it means a lot. And this isn't some 2-star guy that was a walk-on or something. No, he was the quarterback at Alabama. But every team that wins will talk about adversity as if they've dealt with the worst thing that's ever happened, when they're probably really good and way better than most people. They just hit a bump in the road. Hurts got benched, got pulled.
In the biggest moment of his college career.
And what did he do? He was a great teammate and left because he understood that the job was going to be someone else's. And how did he do at Oklahoma?
Oh.
Just fine. Better than fine. Goes to Philly as a guy that in Philly, they're like, what are we doing? Why'd we draft this guy? Because you already had a guy. It wasn't like people were psyched to get him. And then it's like, oh, it's actually pretty good. We've got him. Then you get to the Super Bowl and go back and look at that Super Bowl. Who was the better quarterback in that game? He was. Didn't win. Had some big errors that get magnified because of that stage. Has to kind of eat it. And then there's the weird dynamic that exists between the city and the coach and the passing game and the fact that they're in the middle of this giant winning streak and we got to be better. And he's kind of cryptic in some of his answers because he doesn't want to make it a scene. And all the dude has done is answer the bell over and over and over. And I am, as much as I can be psyched for a guy that kind of needled me a little bit after they beat Washington, came on sports, and he's like, hey, how you doing? You're a DMV guy. Yeah, I'm all right. Like I said, we're right here. We'll see you again. I'm happy for that guy because I think he is all class. And I think that there's room in that discussion at that position where you don't have to be Mahomes or Allen or Jackson, but you live in a close to that neighborhood or on the same street. Maybe your house isn't as nice, but you're in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? He's a Super Bowl winner.
Exactly. He's got something that all those guys want.
Correct. And maybe there's more. I did mention this last night on SportsCenter again. I fight the urge to do this. You go to the Masters and a guy wins. It's the first major every year, and when a guy wins and it's the first, when people always like, what's this mean? Oh, he's going to win a lot of majors. He might never win another major again because it's hard to do. To suggest that Hurts is going to add another Lombardi, it's a lot to ask. But if he does, it won't be surprising. But if he doesn't, so what? He and they stopped the Chiefs' pursuit of history as emphatically as you could. He won the MVP because he was great. The defense was great. Sirianni did his job incredibly well. Across the board, you can't feel better about how you responded to something than the way Philly responded to the loss 2 years ago and what happened last year, even more so, where it seemed that the wheels fell off the bus. Now they're going to have another parade. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I've said it for years. He's my favorite athlete, how he handles himself on and off the field, and I'm super, super happy for him. It's funny, I had dinner with Rinaldi, sat next to him Thursday night, and we talked about it because his son was there, and he had never heard the story. And Tom and I had been at the same games going back to Jalen when he got benched. And we were at the Sugar Bowl when everyone was at the Rose Bowl that year because the Rose Bowl was Georgia, Oklahoma, and we were at Clemson, Alabama. And Tom and I are talking. I'm just like, do you ever get the sense that, Nick might make a move? All I hear about is Tua, how much he could throw the ball, and he just kept shaking his head. He's like, it's possible. It's possible. And I'll never, ever forget standing right in front of the tunnel, and Alabama's about to come out, and Rinaldi's got the mic, and he had just got done talking to Saban, and he looks right at me, and he just gives me the nod. And I'm like, holy shit, he's starting Tua. He's going to do it, trailing in the national championship. And I'll never forget that moment, ever. And Tom and I talked about it, and Tom's like, yeah, you remember? I'm like, yeah, I'll never forget that moment because it was that. It was the last stand for Saban. Was he going to lose to Kirby Smart? Blah, 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 blah. The whole Alabama trying to go for another one. And then the next year he comes back and helps win the SEC when Tua goes down with the ankle. Like, that's the real stuff. And seeing him in that moment, could it be more positive, clapping it up, helping Tua on the sideline. Like, that's the good stuff, man. And he deserves it.
There's a lot in that, just how you respond, because not everything in life is going to be cake and ice cream. And when it's when it's not
in that town,
no. Well, I just mean in general. I don't care if you're listening. Anybody listening to this, like, there's moments. How do you respond to those moments? And dude, again, that's why I just sat and looked at the guy on the ground, still in uniform, still in the eye black, cigar, Lombardi, and I'm thinking, phew. The satisfaction in that has to be immense.
He said it to Bradshaw. He's still processing it. When he said, what does it feel like? He went on set with Boomer. He said he was still processing it. Sitting down with a cigar in the trophy, I think it was sinking in there. So
you have to believe.
Awesome job.
I hope so. You alluded to it a little bit, a dinner with Rinaldi.
Mm-hmm.
You were in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I don't want to brag, but I'm super proud of myself. Because you just talk about the situations. What do you do when you face adversity? There was a couple situations there where that town.
New Orleans is a town where there are on ramps to adversity.
And there's also ramps where if you get on, you ain't coming back. You're not coming back.
No, there are no exits after.
No,
the on ramp.
None.
The on ramp is only to adversity.
So
we've all been there.
So I get there, and I
Oh, boy.
can't check into my hotel Thursday.
Sure.
And I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I'm like, all right, Chris Long's got his set up. I got to get my credentials, the whole thing. So I still have, like, my pants, light hoodie, and vest on.
Did you have fancy boy European shoes on? Did you look like a crazy Belgian?
No.
That's too bad.
No.
Makes
I don't
for a
have
more
those.
fun story.
And so I walk up to our facility, get my credentials, and I walk in. I am dripping in sweat. It's like 82 degrees.
Remember when it snowed a foot there?
I'm like, this is bad. So then I get out and walk, whatever. I'm walking everywhere. The other thing is, the best part about town is you walk everywhere. And I get people, you got to step over some things. Sidewalks aren't great, but don't get in the car. And you just sit there staring at the driver. But first thing, I'm walking up Poydras. There's lunchtime. There's no line at Mother's. No line. Open the door.
That's an on-ramp to heaven.
I'm like, are you guys open? She's like, yeah, come on in. I'm like, perfect.
Oh, gosh.
Perfect. I couldn't, 12:30, 1 o'clock.
What was the order?
Thursday. Not too fast. I didn't get the side of ham, though.
Well, that's failure. This just goes back to the 96 Freeport Mac Moran, your boy with a golf channel, ate at Mother's every single day. Etouffee, side of ham, just because. And a slice of blueberry pie. Oh, gosh.
So.
Got the etouffee?
Yep.
Off and running?
Off and running. Go check out Chris's setup. These green light guys, Scott, you've met Macon. But these guys, his staff, you want to talk about motors? These guys, I mean, around the clock. I'll get to Saturday. But what they did every night and then getting up and still, I mean, Barry Sanders coming by the house, Matt Patricia, Drake May, all of them. Malcolm Jenkins came, and they're still ready to go taping podcasts. And then I'm remembering what they were the night before. I'm like, those guys have motors like I've never seen.
Safe.
And it starts with Chris because he's unbelievable.
Safe.
So I go there. He's got a chef. And they got this gator. And this gator is big.
Like a pet gator?
Oh, no. They're cooking this gator.
Oh.
They're cooking it. That thing cooked for like 2 days. I'd have a picture if we want to post it. Unbelievable setup. So then get word. Rosillo's coming into town. Big Cat, the boys.
There we go.
Go over Felica, Herbie, Rinaldi. And so Big Cat and I go over, have dinner. Or I went over and taped with you. Taped our hit for Thursday.
Okay.
Brought Big Cat. Thought it could be funny. Maryland was going to win. They were up 17.
Didn't work out.
And then we're watching, and they lose on a banked in 3. And I'm like, Dan, I don't know if he's going to want to see you right now. So that plan backfired because what he was going to do was say that I had Ohio State. And I'm like, don't do that because I definitely had Maryland.
Money line.
Money line.
That was a bad beat.
So anyway, go to the Rayo's dinner. Dino, meatballs the size of your head. Unbelievable meal. And then the thing I can't get over is how much people love live music. And it happens at the Super Bowl all the time. I mean, you got Manny Fresh and Juvenile. You got Chris Stapleton. You got Post Malone. You got Ciara. You name it, they were there. And so Stapleton's playing this place, Little Fillmore, right on Canal, and it's an awesome venue. I've been in there. And so I was like, I'm not doing it. It's just madness at those things. You can't talk to people. The music's so loud, and I get it. Stapleton's is one of a kind. So Big Cat's like, if Josh wins the MVP tonight, because that's the night of the NFL honors, we could go to the party and see him. I'm like, let's go to that. I'm like, that'd be nice, controlled atmosphere, music not blasting.
Safe.
And sure enough, we walk in. 5-10 minutes later, Josh walks in. Place goes crazy. And he's walking in, smile, ear to ear. Couldn't be happier for him. And then I realize as he's walking up to us, and I'm like, he's fucking huge, man.
It's a big man.
I mean, he walks in with his buddy Sam Darnold, and I'm like, I was just at Phoenix for the Vikings-Rams game. Sam Darnold's not a small dude, but Josh Allen makes him look small. It's unbelievable how massive Josh Allen is. And I'm just thinking about, him scrambling. Where do you go to hit this guy? But it was an awesome event. Saw a bunch of Chips guys. They had just got done doing the deals for Ryan Day and Chip Kelly with their new deals, so they were in a good mood. little thirsty maybe.
Understood.
So we
Barkeep.
we got after that. So
Cerveza.
decision number one.
Mm-hmm.
Party ends 1:30, 2 a.m. There's a group that's going to Bourbon Street, and I'm like, absolutely not.
A younger Steve would have been in Razoo's taking it to the next level.
I would have never made it to the party.
Fair.
Another group is like, casino.
Ooh.
No chance.
Dollar yo.
In bed.
Washed.
Great boy. Very proud of myself.
Okay.
Get up the next day. Going by Mother's. It's like 11:30. No line.
Etouffee number 2.
Boom. In there. Walk down to walk-ons. Do some things with Booger for our guy Brandon. And, again, it's 80 degrees. Best move I made, I stopped at Smoothie King and got a breakfast smoothie.
Refreshing for the palate.
Oh, my Lord. Boy, did I need that.
Yeah.
Get there, go and tape Chris's live show. Have a blast doing that. All the guys are going. And where do we go? So then what I've been waiting for all week was dinner at Desi Vegas. And that's my favorite restaurant in New Orleans. And New Orleans has plenty.
Yeah, no doubt.
Plenty. And great group. Matt Garrett, Cap, and Rosillo comes. Cap's first time meeting Rosillo. And we know how much we love Cap and how much Cap loves working with us. But he's never heard the Rosillo SVP stories. So Scott starts telling him the stories about how on radio we used to do Scott's Twitter fights. And Cap is just losing it because he knows you. He knows your personality now, and he just can't get enough. But we're at Desi's, and who comes in? It's Jameson Penix. Awesome dinner. Debo walks in. Brian Bercy's there. And then the icon walks in. Boomer.
Day.
And boy, let me tell you, he put on an exhibition of about 20 minutes coming over to our table and just let it all hang out. And it got to my sad take of the week, is that you're older than me. This is Super Bowl 59.
Mm-hmm.
We're way past. We're going to see way less Super Bowls from now on than we have.
You mean we're on the back nine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't leave, Boomer. Just keep talking. Give me stories. He's talking about hanging out with Andy, going to practice. He's with Levy. And it was just that moment where it was like, I'm at the Super Bowl and Chris Berman, the icon, is talking to us at dinner. Might have given us DeAndre Hopkins. He's like, might be guessing. Might not be. Hopkins scores.
Little late tutter.
Hey.
Courtesy of the
Boomer.
Schwa. Day.
We'll
be right back.
So we go back. Chris has some after hours. We go to Lucy's dive bar, find the corner. Perfect. All the Barstool guys. Levy comes. Our guy DP down in New Orleans who holds it down. And just had an awesome group. Like
That's the key.
No crazy music. Just a good group. Hanging out. Putting some down. And then we go back to Chris's. And then we get there. And I look at my watch. It's 3:31
a.m.
I don't say a word to anybody. Deuces.
Sexual chocolate.
Out. Wake up the next day. I was like, I got to do something. Maybe I don't do anything. Go downstairs, get a sweat, get some Uber Eats delivered for lunch, watch 12 hours of college basketball in the Waste Management. Window down, lights off.
AC on 60.
People are sending pictures. Come out to meet us at Burp. No way. No way. And had a commitment that I was supposed to do Saturday, moved to Friday. So I was in the clear. And then I go on social media and I see Chris and the Greenlight Crew. They're hosting an outdoor party for Smirnoff. They got Flow Rider there. It's like 85 degrees outside. And I'm like, they're doing a show? I couldn't believe it.
Well,
and I was not about to get chewed up and spit out another day, and proceeded to have a very, very enjoyable, profitable day.
Excellent.
Because a morning flight the next morning, I got to get on a morning flight and be back with you for Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you could walk back outside.
But see, this is
5 a.m. wake up?
No,
no way.
This is the
No way.
These are the chess moves of a wise, learned, experienced man who's been there to New Orleans, where the on-ramp was taken to a road to nowhere good. And then we have a show. It starts. Time to our show come on 1, right?
Yeah, like 12:50.
There was some show meetings that were not always super dialed in ahead of the 1 p.m. Eastern time when the show would begin.
Oh God.
But I want you guys to understand, I wasn't there, but I've been there with him years on the road covering golf, U.S. Opens. However you imagine an audience with Boom when he has the floor and the audience is eating it up like ice cream, there's nothing like it. He's a fucking legend. And when he's going, and wait, look, and everyone's in on it, and you just, like you said it, again, I wasn't there, but I know how it goes, where all you want is another story.
It's just, the guys that are at the table, it's just glasses are shaking because people are pounding their hand on the table laughing. Like, it's just that good.
Boom. Legend.
The recollection he has, and the way he goes. Like, it's...
Well, the story. See, here's the key with Boom. When he's talking and he gets going, the hand. This is it, and then we're there, and then
it's not him saying "Help me out here." It's like I'm gonna get there.
But then the breaks when the story are going, and this right here, that's the breaks. And here's how, and then wait. We'll be right back. You get this on Countdown with Tommy, and then we'll be right back. Unbelievable, true legend of the game. So whatever happened there, I'm sure was awesome. The live music piece, again.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God! And New Orleans is an incredible place for it. Years ago, being there, there's a legendary venue called the Maple Leaf, and then there's a bar.
Priscilla and I were thinking about going Thursday or Friday night, but the band he wanted to see that he thought was going to be there wasn't going to be there. He's like, I think it's out.
Well, the band that had like a residency. It was like a standing Tuesday night invite. I think it was Tuesdays. Could have been Wednesday. It's a long time ago. But Rebirth Brass Band. The Rebirth Brass Band is just like the house band at the Maple Leaf. And then there's a little restaurant right next to it called Giacomo's, which is outrageous, but they're all outrageous. And I can just remember you'd go to Giacomo's and then you go next door to the Maple Leaf. And one night I was there, and I swear to God, there were 35 people with horns on the stage.
Yeah.
It's just like a religious experience. And New Orleans is just so different than any other place, and I can only imagine to be there with people that you only see once a year or maybe a couple of times a year, but you hit the key thing where every Super Bowl that I've ever gone to, it's like Vegas in this way. If you're in a place with people you want to be with, you can't go chasing the better time because you'll never catch it. You'll never find, so-and-so's over at this place or that place, and there's the... If you leave where you're at and you're with a good crew and you're having a good time, catching up, doing whatever, going to a better place, you're just going to miss the time you're in. So you learn that over the years.
Yeah.
You just got to be present with who you're with and enjoy that little bite of the apple because there's not a better one down the street.
No, but I get it. Like, people love the live music, and there's all these parties, and money is spent, invites are given. That's the other thing. I have no idea how to get these invites to these parties either.
But the good news is you just show up because you're you.
No, but I don't want to be that guy.
Stanford Steve and the bear.
He just kept saying, what do we got? What do you got? What do you got? So no casino, no bourbon. Win-win.
And one last shout, live music. How about Troy? The world knows him as Trombone Shorty.
Oh.
Such a cool thing to see him out there. America the Beautiful. God Bless America. Which one was it? I was getting confused. I think it was America the Beautiful. But here's a guy who grew up as a child in bars, on bars playing the trombone, is a New Orleans legend. He's been incredibly kind to us. Of course, if you know the segment Winners, the song's called Hurricane Season. Trombone Shorty is this giant star, and he came in and did the music live in our studio that we still use for Winners. So just seeing him in his hometown being featured in a big way, just really, really cool for a guy who we'll always root for. Not that he needs us to cheer for him, but we're just in a very large group of people that are big fans of his, and we're lucky enough to have crossed paths.
And also, two legends also. Sal Pal covering the Eagles, doing his thing every single day, every show you see. He's got his own perch up at the hotel. I got a chance to go talk to him for a while, knowing the past and history he's had at this event. I'm pretty sure he's over 30 now. It might be 40 Super Bowls. And Jeff Darlington, that man is a machine. Love him. The time he puts in with the Chiefs. And it's funny, I'm talking to him. I was like, hey, man, good to see you. Everything good? Like, how many hits you got today? He's like, no drama. There's no drama here. He's like, nothing's happened. He's like, when are we going to get some drama? Is somebody going to go out tonight? Whatever. And he's just like, looking for something. But those two guys covering the two teams and, like, their crew and Franny and Melinda, like, that's the thing you learn and appreciate when, because you see enough Eagles fans, and it's like, all right, we know where those people, they're just going up. There's also work to be done. And the NFL crew that does it all is awesome. And seeing Randy back was incredible. And everyone down there wants it back every 4 or 5 years. And, I was talking to a couple of old timers at the bar at Desi's, and, they've been in this a long time, and they're native New Orleans, and they just kept talking about how they were looking forward to this, and then January 1st happened, and how much that took them back because they were on this tick upscale where they were clear of everything for so long, and everything's doing well, and to see they're still affected by it, and obviously the people involved, it's tough, man. But
I thought
no city in America gets up and keeps punching like New Orleans. No one does it, and it's a credit to those people.
Yeah, and I thought the league and Fox and everyone that took a moment, took a deep breath to acknowledge what happened there, because they were there for the same reason. Well, not just a football game, but to welcome in a new year, and what happened there is horrific. It's the kind of thing that those scars don't ever go away. But you said it well. I mean, that's a city that's certainly taken its share, and they're built to get up and keep doing it. And the Eagles come in and are heading back to Philadelphia, and there'll be mummers, parade, mayhem, mutants, the whole bit. Fly, Eagles, fly. ELGS, whatever the hell the mayor said. Eagles. I got to settle a bet with Nagandi, by the way, because it was a Washington Philly thing. He's sending me a jersey. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be terrible.
He's probably pretty fired up.
And he should be.
Yeah.
Nothing more fun than when your team wins a title and wins it the way they want it, where it's an absolute domination from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
We're better. We're going to show it for 60. Cue the mummers. That's as good as you can get.
One other observation.
Yep.
Talked about not getting in Ubers or whatever in New Orleans unless you're going to the airport. We have to start doing that, people, as a community. Airports, do not drive yourself or have someone drive you. Just get in an Uber. The airport traffic is too much because people are driving themselves. You know how much airport parking is? Just do the math. An Uber ride's way cheaper. Trust me. I do it every single week. Airport traffic shouldn't be that much. Just get an Uber and go to the airport.
Not complicated.
That's it.
It's like getting on the DoorDash. Just order some food. How hard is it?
What'd you get?
Nothing. Ate at home.
All that for that. I got a text from our girl, Maddie, was wondering. She's like, are you going to be there Thursday? Because I can't wait to see what's ordered. No, she's probably listening to this like, that guy just won't do it.
We had some delicious chicken and pasta that I ate before I went in, and then I just, I was good. Our guy Jeff's like, we're going to order some food. He ordered food. I didn't. I can do it, though. I know what to do. I just
Speaking
have to
of
try.
food.
I just have to try. Yeah.
Got me about you. Is a sandwich dinner?
Great question.
You're like really particular what you can eat for dinner.
No.
Why?
Sandwich is a lunch item.
You eat it and it can fill you up just like dinner does.
Sandwich is a lunch item. It's not a dinner item.
What's dinner?
A plate that has an entree, a vegetable, a salad, perhaps, multiple vegetables and an entree, a protein, not bread and meat and oil and vinegar and a bag of chips. It's not dinner. I mean,
So a burrito bowl is dinner, but a burrito's not.
No.
Oh.
A burrito's dinner.
But a sandwich isn't.
Correct.
Come on.
How am I wrong here?
Is a burger dinner?
It could be, because at least it's warm meat, and then there's probably fries of some sort. Fries are different than chips.
So a hot meatball sub with fries is not a dinner.
Who eats fries with a meatball sub?
I don't know.
See, now we're getting into gray areas, because a meatball sub it's hot meat. Hey,
Yeah.
now, hot meat in a bun. All right. I mean, a meatball sub because feels semi-pizza-ish. So theoretically, yeah, that's like, you just talking about like a grilled cheese? You talking about like an Italian hoagie?
Yeah.
Grinder, whatever part of the world you live in?
Correct.
It's not dinner. It could be in a pinch.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, sure. I mean, you could eat I could eat a half a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
In a pinch, you're at work and you don't have anything to eat. And it's like, you want a sandwich? No, that's not dinner.
Did I say that?
Yeah. Multiple times.
It's because it's not
Multiple
dinner.
years.
It's not dinner. Sandwich is not dinner. I'm right. Y'all should back me up on this.
What do you got in the cards?
Well, you said you spent basically Saturday in your bed watching college hoops, and it was a day.
And the waste management.
Shout to Dietrich.
Oof.
Had him a week earlier.
Good swing.
Shout to Belgium.
There you go.
Winter,
Illinois, right?
Yeah, and Winter Circle. I mentioned it to our guy Gordo. I said, I thought old Nicholas Colsarts was going to break through. That's a reference for the golf world. That remember him. Thought he might bust in. Pretty sure Nick was the guy that was working butts out there on the course. I don't know. Maybe not. Florida went to Auburn and beat the number one team in the country. And looking at the SEC, we've talked about this a bunch. Like, there's currently maybe 5 teams in line to be a 1 seed from that league.
Yeah.
That would include A&M.
Yeah.
Who had a big win at
Monster.
Missouri.
It was a good team.
Man, that's Missouri's was ranked. I don't know if the rankings have come out. They were ranked last week, but that was a big win for A&M. You got Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and A&M all in play, potentially to be 1 seeds.
Auburn, Alabama, Saturday.
That Florida win, I love Clayton, their guard. He's big.
Yeah, and the other one didn't even play, right?
Correct. Martin.
Yeah.
Elijah Martin was hurt. That was eye-opening to me. Just, you don't go in there and dictate to them. They'll let you know how the game's going to go. Florida went in there and was down early, and then that jungle's ready to go, and then Florida's like, okay, we get 40 to work with, and I was really impressed with that Gator team because that atmosphere, look, Rupp's Rupp, it's got an aura, okay, for sure, and there's some good spots. But the way Bruce has got Auburn.
You talk to anybody, that's the best place.
Dialed in.
Best place for a game. Toughest place to win.
Well, Florida didn't just
dose.
They didn't just win. That was really, really eye-opening. That game was a big one. I think we both watched Creighton beat a Marquette team that we both think's good. Creighton's a team that was a little wobbly early. They've figured some stuff out. They've got experience. They got size. St. John's, I watched them Friday night against UConn. I don't know. You're probably
had it on at Desi's.
Okay. Good Lord. Rick's got a team full of grown men, athlete monsters on defense. Whew. That's an impressive team. They're going to be top 10, I think, this week. Right?
Should be.
Well, they should. You're right.
Are they 12-1 in conference?
Big East is bottom's a little soft. But
how's their whistle going to be in the tournament?
But you got to ask yourself: Are you going
Exactly.
to be allowed to be rough and rugged,
That's
rugged and raw?
That's
You're going to be well, that's tricky.
Just one more thing on Florida. what I've noticed with Alabama and Auburn, why I like them so much, is their depth. Florida proved to be just as deep.
Well, they all play.
They're good.
They all play a pace that's breakneck, and you're gonna have to keep up with their scoring pace. A lot of that's the tricky part. And I always wonder when you get to the tournaments, all matchups, you play somebody that if they can bog you down, slow you down, can you win a game in the 60s? That's always what I'm curious about, because that's the hard thing to do in March. Getting arenas, you haven't seen them. You start missing shots. Timeouts are longer. This is a real thing.
No doubt.
It's a challenge, all of it. And you're used to just up tempo, go, 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 go. We're going to find our rhythm because it's a lot easier to find when we just never stop going. But that league's nasty. And then I know you were watching all the way into the end. I gave up at some point because I was tired. Tired mostly of just losing every game I had. Arizona, Texas Tech.
Oof.
Arizona's another team that was a little wobbly early.
Very wobbly.
Looked like maybe had wobbled to the ground.
They got manhandled at Tech when they went there, too.
They got off the deck and beat a really good Texas Tech team late Saturday night.
Yep, and I don't know who's going to win the Big 12, but it ain't Kansas.
That's a fact. That is a fact. That's odd.
Man.
It's odd to see them into February, and we had Bill on last Monday night when they beat a good Iowa State team badly.
Yep.
But there's a lack of consistency there.
Exactly what he brought up.
Yep, and it shows itself in the very next game. They go to Kansas State, who, by the way, they spent all this money in the portal and were terrible early this year. I think they lost like 7 or 8 in a row. But now Kansas State has figured some stuff out, and they're winning games against ranked teams, beat the crap out of Iowa State on the road, just beat Kansas at home. So Kansas State's way better than their basically 500 record. But Kansas isn't a vintage Jayhawk team. And the ups and downs are such that that's just not how you bank on a run in March when you just don't know who you are from game to game.
No, and I think Bill will be the first person to tell you that.
That's what
he talked about it.
That's what he mentioned. Trying to find some consistency. Yeah, but I enjoyed watching a bunch of the college hoop over the course of the weekend as well. I think it's a fun season.
Probably should do teams that could win a title next week. I'll have my list.
It's going to be a lengthy list.
No doubt.
But then when you really think about it, you have to ask yourself who can win 6 games in a row.
We have this conversation every time. And I think it's more about the teams that can't, so then more teams can.
Correct. All right. So that's a homework assignment.
Any thoughts on Goodman's top 25?
Yeah, we texted back and forth. But people
Did he call you a clown?
Yeah, I mean he's just doing what he's just being Goodman. He doesn't mean it. I mean, if he does,
he means they're not in the top 25. Or he just does that to get you mad.
I mean, I think he's just doing this for engagement because we're friends. So, I mean, I don't think Goodman thinks I'm a clown. I mean, I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago just at his invitation. We're friends. So please don't get it twisted. Unless he thinks I'm a clown, in which case, you want to go?
Yeah.
We can go. I mean, you sure? You sure that's a fight you want to pick with me in the social media space? I mean, you got to ask yourself. I mean, we did segments on this that Russillo was regaling folks in New Orleans about.
Oh, it's great.
I'm not fighting with Goodman. I actually listen. I like my team.
Yeah.
We got some bigs. We got some guys that can make shots.
They're on the list.
We'll take our chances. We get up 17 on the road, maybe hang on to a lead. Like, how everybody's got to get back, coach? I am offering my services to Coach Willard. Well, I'll just be there free of charge. And when they get up 17, I will stand up and call a timeout.
Okay.
And then in the huddle, I'm just going to be like, fellas, we're up by 17. Go get them. That's it. Just think about what I'm saying to you. It's a 6-possession game. Let's hang on to this one. Let's dock the boat.
We're laughing, but like Nate Oates didn't call a timeout at Arkansas the other night,
and they were
up 18 with 6 minutes left.
Didn't cover.
1 by 4 or 3.
It was 4.
They were given 5.
Correct. It got rather sketchy late. Those that know. There was free throws. There was a miss. There was an out of bounds. Oh, my God, Alabama's going to get it again. Neither here nor there.
All right, one quick one.
It's hard to win on the road. Look, Oregon was up 14 at Michigan State over the weekend. You saw Sparty come roaring back and win by a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to win on the road. Again, just call timeout, and I'm like, all right, fellas, here we go. Focus. That's it.
Better bet to make the tournament, Arkansas or Carolina?
Arkansas at least has wins. Carolina doesn't have wins. They could get one on Monday night. They play Clemson, who just beat Duke in a game. If you saw that one as well, the shot making in the last 2 minutes was awesome. Not every close game's a good game. That was cool because you saw a team in Clemson who I watched lose in triple overtime on their home floor to Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Same team in Littlejohn on a Saturday night was throwing haymakers against the Duke team that between Proctor and Flagg, they were making shots, man. But North Carolina, what are their wins?
Okay.
I mean, the only reason anyone even says them for the tournament is because their name's North Carolina. If their name was Boston College or NC State, you think people, and State, I know you guys, you just went to the Final Four last year. I understand that. But if their name is Carolina, which is the only reason that anyone's saying that they're possibly a tournament team, what are they analytically? You know, I should just check Goodman's top 25. Maybe they're in the top 25.
They're definitely not in the top 25.
They might be. Maryland's not, so there's a room for an extra team.
Oh.
Okay. Anything else? We got a snow front.
Like a real one or like last week? Was that crap?
You had a game canceled because of the threat of snow.
2.
That's embarrassing. Be better.
We had flights canceled into D.C. Wednesday night and Thursday morning because of
the threat of snow?
Rain.
Oh.
All it did was rain.
We had a game no coach or players showed for, which is
what's going on there? You get alignment.
We need alignment.
Alignment.
Organizationally. Just somebody on the text thread or the email thing. Anybody going to post for 8? Because I'm not getting up at 7:15 for another Saturday morning basketball game that isn't a basketball game.
Isn't it great? Which people, we have phones. You could text. You know what's even better? Phone calls. Like where you actually call the person and don't wait on a response from a text. And then if you call the person, you can leave a voice. I didn't get my voice. What do you mean you didn't get your voicemail?
Or if you say you're running a league and you're going to coach or play on the team, you could just try.
We really need shirts.
That'll be part. We'll have Poop Town and Just Try. Going to sell like hotcakes.
T-shirt people, get at me.
Maybe it says Poop Town on the front, Just Try on the back.
No, just 2 different shirts.
Oh, yeah. You know what else we get?
And then we have a little competition.
Signed up for 60. We just get all the little pitchy, woo-woo.
All of them.
I'm telling you, we're going to make tens of monies. Maybe 20. Huh? Here we go. In the next life, that's what we'll do. We'll be T-shirt entrepreneurs. Let's go get them. Let's have a week, everybody. Remember, when in doubt, just try.